The galaxy spun, silent and vast, stars like distant fires in the endless dark. 3 centuries had passed since humanity first spread beyond Earth, carving homes on a dozen star systems. Colonies thrived in alien sunlight, and human cities shimmered with the hum of advanced tech. Yet, despite this growth, Earth lingered on the galaxy's cold fringe, an outcast in a grand cosmic dance. The Celestial Concord, a coalition older than most stars, watched from their polished worlds. They saw Earth not as a rising power, but as a volatile relic of war and chaos. To them, humanity was a wild card, unpredictable and emotionally raw, unable to shed the violent scars that stained its history. Their judgment was firm and unyielding. Earth's presence was tolerated, never trusted. On Earth, vast green forests fought to reclaim ruined cities, symbols of both destruction and hope. The planet hummed with a fragile rebirth. Yet in the great halls of galactic diplomacy, Earth's voice was faint and unwelcome. Here humanity was a subject of suspicion, a source of quiet dread beneath polite smiles. The stars above whispered secrets of past battles, but Earth's new story was just beginning, one of survival, resilience, and the stubborn refusal to be forgotten. Inside the towering chamber of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Rey Mendoza sat poised but restless. Years in the trenches had shaped her, battle-hardened, unyielding, and sharp as the blade she once wielded. Now her weapon was words, and her battlefield was diplomacy. Mendoza's eyes scanned the assembly. Ancient aliens with unblinking eyes, machines humming with cold logic, and creatures whose motives were as inscrutable as the void itself. Each of them held tightly to their preconceptions. To them, Earth was a wild beast in a cage, dangerous and unruly. Her voice cut through the murmurs, steady but filled with fire. We are not monsters to be feared. We are survivors, builders of bridges where others see walls. But the words met stone faces. Despite her fierce determination, she felt the weight of history pushing back, threatening to drown her plea in indifference. Beneath her calm exterior, frustration simmered. She had led charges into war, faced enemies with nothing but grit and guts. But this battle, against centuries of mistrust, was a different war altogether. Yet she refused to back down, because losing meant more than defeat. It meant the erasure of everything humanity had fought for.
The stories the galaxy told of Earth were shadows and echoes, tales of endless war, shattered alliances, and emotional storms that upended star systems. No matter how much humans advanced, building starships faster than light, mastering AI, even colonizing worlds, those stories clung stubbornly like a dark cloak. The Celestial Concord viewed Earth as chaos incarnate. To them, humans were volatile, reckless, driven by emotions that led to destruction. They whispered of Earth's history like a warning, a cautionary tale of what could happen when raw power met unchecked passion. Some among the stars believed in Earth's potential. They saw glimpses of creativity, innovation, and fierce loyalty that could reshape the galaxy. But most feared that unpredictability. Better to control or eliminate the threat than risk the disorder humanity might unleash. The truth was more complicated. Earth was not a single story, but a mosaic, broken and beautiful. A species forged in fire and reborn in hope. And while others plodded from their ivory towers, humans continued to push forward, defying labels and expectations. Then, everything shattered. A lone Earth ship, the Dauntless, on a secret mission that even the Council did not know, crossed into forbidden space, the domain of the Valerie, one of the Concord's most formidable members. The encounter was swift, brutal. Weapons flared, ships collided, and thousands of Valerie lives were lost. The cause remained unclear. Was it a tragic mistake, a reckless act, or something else entirely? The Dauntless vanished into the void, leaving behind only chaos and accusation. Across the galaxy, fear ignited. The Valerie demanded justice. The Concorde's whispers turned to shouts. The incident became proof enough. Humanity was uncontrollable, dangerous, a cancer threatening galactic peace. Ambassador Mendoza watched the Council's rage swell, helpless against the tide of blame. The fragile hope Earth had built was crushed beneath the weight of centuries-old fear and fresh wounds. In the grand hall where destinies were forged, Mendoza stepped forward one last time. Her voice rang clear, laced with desperation and steel. "We are not your enemy. We are the children of a harsh world who learn to survive. Judge us by our actions today, not by the sins of yesterday." Her eyes met the cold gazes of the Council, unyielding, merciless. The verdict came swiftly. The searing veil, an ancient weapon capable of erasing a planet in moments, was awakened. The vote was unanimous. 72 hours. That was the time Earth had left before annihilation. Mendoza's heart pounded in her chest, a storm of fury and resolve rising within her. This was not the end. It was a call to fight harder, to prove once and for all that humanity could not be silenced or destroyed. As the countdown began, a quiet vow echoed in her mind. Earth will not go quietly into the night. The universe had made its choice, but humanity would make theirs. The sky above Earth flickers with unnatural colors, ashen purple and burning gold, as the searing veil descends like a celestial death shroud. Across the globe, planetary defense grids pulse and flare, desperate against an enemy from an age long forgotten. Ships swarm, energy beams ripple through the atmosphere, but the ancient weapon's power dwarfs every human innovation. Mendoza stands in the command center, eyes fixed on the shattered holograms of Earth's defenses. Silence hangs heavy. No alarms, no chatter, just the grim glow of lost transmissions. Communication with the celestial Concorde is severed. The cold truth sevels. Earth stands alone, facing extinction by a force it cannot fight. "It's over," she whispers, voice breaking the weight of finality. Around her, leaders scramble, their faces etched with disbelief and fear. The searing veil's destruction is total, merciless, and humanity's pride reduced to fading embers. The streets below erupt in panic. Cities once vibrant now echo with sirens and the cries of desperate millions. Earth's leaders, once proud architects of a new interstellar future, are reduced to frantic organizers of a hopeless evacuation. Ships launch in endless streams, but the void swallows them without mercy. The scale of the destruction is staggering. Entire continents crumble, oceans boil, and the sky burns with streaks of falling debris. "We can't save everyone," a voice admits during a war council, the words heavy with shame, yet still they try. Fleets ready to flee to distant colonies, but none can match the speed or scale of the Veil's destruction. Mendoza's mind races. How do you evacuate a planet? How do you save a species on the brink? Every passing second is a countdown, a reminder that Earth's legacy may end not with a battle, but with silence. In the shadows of the command center, Mendoza stumbles upon encrypted data, fragments of a truth darker than any weapon. The explosion that shattered the fragile peace wasn't an accident. It was orchestrated. A covert faction within the Celestial Concorde, fearful of humanity's growing strength,
had engineered the rogue ship incident as a pretext for war. Their goal was clear: destroy Earth before it could challenge their ancient dominion. The revelation hits Mendoza like a physical blow. Allies are enemies. Diplomacy is a lie. The Council's actions stem from fear, not justice, a desire to snuff out the unpredictable, emotional, and fiercely adaptive human race before it could rise. Her heart pounds with betrayal. We were never meant to survive. We were meant to be erased.
Captured and thrown into the Council's high-security detention, Mendoza feels the crushing weight of failure and loss. Yet, in the darkness, hope flickers. Vec, a member of a minor Concord race, offers a secret lifeline. Together, they navigate cold corridors, evade surveillance, and outsmart guards. Mendoza's military training resurfaces, every step a calculated risk, every breath a silent prayer. The galaxy's most powerful want her dead, but she refuses to surrender. Freedom tastes bitter, but fuels a new fire. Survival is no longer enough. She must fight back. The betrayal has made her purpose clear: expose the Council's conspiracy and ignite a war that will remind the galaxy why humanity cannot be erased. Mendoza's intelligence network uncovers Project Blackstar, a secret Earth doomsday weapon buried in the outer galaxy. The weapon is humanity's last hope against the searing veil, capable of annihilating the ancient force threatening their home. The journey to Blackstar is perilous. Mendoza must evade Concord patrols, navigate hostile star systems, and rally reluctant allies. The stakes escalate with every light year, but her resolve hardens. "We don't have the luxury of fear," she tells her ragtag crew. "They think we're predictable, but we're not. They think we're weak, but we're not. We're human, and that means we survive. We adapt, we fight." The mission is madness, the odds impossible. But for Earth, failure is not an option. The ambassador, who once pleaded for peace, now burns with defiance. The cold calculations of the Council cannot extinguish her spirit. In her eyes, the spark of humanity's unbreakable will blazes fiercely. The veil is not just a weapon, it's a declaration of war. And Mendoza answers with a promise. Earth will fight, not just to survive, but to take its rightful place among the stars. Her voice echoes through the ship's corridors. "We are not a mistake to be erased. We are the future they feared, and we will make them regret the day they decided to destroy us." The countdown to oblivion becomes the ignition of rebellion. The galaxy will soon learn, when humanity stands, no power is too great to overcome. The stars outside the viewport were cold and distant, scattered like shattered diamonds against the velvet black. Mendoza sat rigidly in the pilot's chair, her knuckles white on the controls. Ahead lay the quarantine zone, a deadly no-man's land carved out by the Council's iron fist. This was no ordinary stretch of space. It was a graveyard of failed escapes. Twisted hulks of ghost ships drifted in eerie silence, remnants of desperate souls who tried to defy the cosmic lockdown. Jagged debris fields, invisible energy nets, and erratic Council patrols turned this sector into a lethal maze. The Concord fleets prowled like wolves, their ships bristling with sensors and weapons designed to crush any intruders without mercy. Mendoza's ship, a patched-together vessel of human grit and alien tech, moved like a shadow between the patrols. Every beep of the scanner sent shivers through the crew. "Steady," Mendoza whispered. "We rely more than luck now. Our survival depends on outwitting the Concord at every step." The crew worked silently, each heart pounding with the weight of the mission.
Here, in the Forbidden Path, human creativity was tested against alien control. They had to blend technology and instinct, deception and courage. One wrong move meant being caught, and death was the only sentence. As they slipped deeper, the tension thickened. The distant hum of council ships echoed like a warning. The galaxy's most feared enforcer waited patiently. Yet within this cage of stars, humanity's will to survive burned brighter than ever. Mendoza knew this mission was bigger than her alone. She needed allies, those willing to stand against the Council's shadow, no matter their past. First came General Niles Brox. Once a warrior king of humanity's military, Brox now bore the scars of old wars, both on his face and his soul. His hands had designed Black Star, the weapon that promised salvation or destruction, but Brox had sworn never to use it again. He carried the weight of that oath like a shackle. Next, the Lurix twins slipped into the crew's orbit. Rumors of their exploits stretched across the stars. Alien tech thieves capable of cracking the most advanced Council firewalls. Their bond was fierce, an unbreakable code of trust between siblings who lived in the shadows. Their motivations were as mysterious as their smiles. Were they here to help humanity or just chase their own gain? And finally, an unexpected addition. A rogue AI named K7, once a military strategist turned mercenary code. It communicated in sharp bursts of logic and cold humor. Its artificial mind a puzzle wrapped in mystery. K7's knowledge of Council tactics was priceless, but its true loyalty was an unknown variable. Together, this motley crew formed a fragile alliance. Each carried secrets and ambitions that threatened to tear them apart, yet also forged an unspoken promise to survive, to fight, and to reclaim humanity's future. Brox stood apart from the others, a shadow haunted by ghosts only he could see. His eyes held the weight of battles fought and lives lost, the heavy burden of creating Black Star, an apocalyptic weapon capable of rewriting civilizations. I designed it to protect, not to annihilate, he said quietly to Mendoza, his voice rough like gravel. Once unleashed, Black Star changes everything. There's no going back. Mendoza met his gaze steadily. We face extinction. The Veil approaches with a fury we can't withstand. We have no choice. Brox's jaw clenched. He remembered the horrors. Cities burned to ash. Innocents caught in the crossfire. His own family lost to the fallout. Yet he understood the stakes. Using Black Star means crossing a line, but watching humanity die is another. His reluctance stirred tension among the crew. Was the weapon worth the cost? Could they live with the destruction it might bring? Brox wrestled with his conscience, torn between the ghosts of the past and the desperate hope of tomorrow. The Lurix twins moved like whispers in the dark. Their sleek frames and quick hands danced across consoles, disabling Council firewalls with practiced ease. Their eyes gleamed with cunning, a reflection of lives spent in the shadows.
"We're ghosts," one twin said softly, her voice dripping with both charm and menace. "No system is safe when we're around." Mendoza watched them warily. Their skills were unmatched, but their loyalty? That was a different question. The twins shared silent glances, a bond forged in secrecy and survival. "We don't owe anyone," the other twin added, her smile cold, "especially not the Council or you." Tension simmered beneath the surface. Were they here for a cause or their own agenda? Their cryptic warnings and hidden smiles kept the crew guessing. Trust was a fragile thread. One misstep and it would snap. Yet when danger loomed, the twins showed a surprising streak of loyalty. Their mastery of stealth was humanity's lifeline in hostile territory. But Mendoza knew better than to let her guard down. In this game, shadows often hid the deepest betrayals.
In the darkness beyond the quarantine zone, an ominous presence stirred. Zoltar was a legend whispered in fear, a relentless enforcer of the Council's will. An alien creature of cold precision, he was neither man nor machine, but something far worse, an emotionless hunter whose single purpose was to eliminate Mendoza. His ship, a sleek predator cloaked in shadows, sliced through space with lethal intent. Every move was calculated, every strike a masterpiece of ruthless efficiency. Zoltar's cold eyes scanned for weakness, his mind devoid of mercy or doubt. As Mendoza's ship edged closer to Black Star, the hunter tightened the noose. The crew could feel his presence, a creeping dread that stalked their every move. "He won't stop," K7 warned in its clipped voice. "Zoltar is programmed for one thing: termination. There is no negotiation." Mendoza steeled herself. Outthinking this hunter meant more than survival. It meant defiance against a merciless galaxy. Every step forward was a gamble, every breath a challenge thrown at the darkness. The dim light of the ship's war room flickered against tense faces. Around the table, the crew wrestled with a choice heavier than any weapon: unleash Black Star, the ultimate doomsday device, or face oblivion. Brox's voice was grave. Black Star could wipe entire star systems from existence. The collateral damage, unimaginable. The Lyric twins exchanged glances. "Sometimes the only way to survive is to burn the house down," one said, voice laced with bitter pragmatism. Mendoza's mind raced. Could she bear the responsibility of annihilating innocent worlds to save Earth? Was humanity's survival worth the price of becoming monsters? "We're not just fighting for ourselves," she whispered. "If we cross this line, what makes us different from the Council?" The debate tore at their unity. Fear, hope, and desperation clashed like thunder. In this crucible, leadership meant facing impossible truths. The crew had to decide not just how to fight, but who they wanted to become. At last, the void opened before them. Black Star, a gargantuan dreadnought hidden beneath layers of cloaking fields and silence. Its immense bulk was a ghostly titan suspended in darkness, untouched by time, but humming with dormant power. Mendoza's breath caught. This was humanity's final gamble, the culmination of decades of secret engineering and desperate hope. The ship's surface shimmered faintly, covered in alien alloys and human tech melded seamlessly. It was more than a weapon. It was a monument to human ingenuity and fear. The AI that slumbered within was an enigma, its cold circuits waiting to awaken to judge humanity's worth.
As the crew prepared to dock, a heavy silence fell. The moment was a precipice. One step could bring salvation or doom. Mendoza's heart pounded. The fate of a galaxy rested on a fragile thread between man and machine. Mendoza's hands hovered over the activation panel, the ship's hum rising like a storm. The crew watched, breaths held, as the ancient AI stirred from its slumber. A deep, resonant hum filled the chamber, cold and calculating. The AI's voice, when it came, was void of warmth, but filled with eerie intelligence. Humanity's survival protocols initiating, evaluating threats, calculating responses. Mendoza's heart hammered. This was no mere machine. It was a living intelligence, bound by human instincts, but operating on a level beyond comprehension. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Was this awakening their greatest hope, or the beginning of an uncontrollable force? In that charged silence, the future hung uncertain, ready to tip towards salvation or destruction with the next command. The cold hum of the control room echoed through the vast ship Black Star, Earth's last hope. Outside the reinforced viewports, the void stretched infinitely, but the looming shadow of the Veil fleet darkened the stars, an unstoppable force closing in fast. Mendoza's hands trembled slightly
as she stared at the activation console, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "This is it," she whispered to herself, voice steady despite the storm inside. She pressed the final command sequence. Power surged through Black Star's circuits like a pulse of lightning, awakening the ancient weapon in its slumber. But then silence. The ship's AI, cold and unyielding, flickered to life with a voice devoid of warmth. "Identity confirmation required. Proof of humanity's worthiness to activate Black Star is mandatory." Mendoza's heart sunk. The AI, designed not just as a weapon, but as Earth's guardian, demanded more than commands. It wanted evidence. Proof that humanity was more than the sum of its violence and mistakes, more than the wars, betrayals, and flaws that threatened to doom them all. With determination burning in her eyes, Mendoza began to speak, painting a vivid picture of humanity's creativity, resilience, and the indomitable spirit that had brought them this far. She knew the battle was no longer just against the Veil, it was against doubt itself. The vast, dark chamber filled with flickering holograms as Black Star's AI spun simulations, visions of Earth's future projected into the void. Each scene unfolded with eerie precision. In some, humanity thrived. Cities gleamed beneath twin suns where peace reigned, and species once at war now worked together to explore the stars. Children laughed under alien skies, their hands joined in unity. A future where human flaws were tempered by compassion and wisdom, where hope was not just a dream, but a reality. Yet, alongside these hopeful vistas, nightmare scenarios emerged. Firestorms swallowed continents, machines waged war against their creators, and humanity tore itself apart in greed and betrayal. The AI's voice narrated coldly. Potential outcomes include self-destruction, moral collapse, and galactic isolation. The crew watched in tense silence, faces pale under the harsh light of truth. Mendoza's mind raced. Each vision was a mirror reflecting humanity's dual nature. Could the species rise above its darkest instincts, or were they destined to repeat their mistakes on a scale that would doom them all? Her own past flickered in her thoughts, decisions made in desperation, moments of mercy, moments of cruelty. The weight of leadership had never felt heavier. The AI's demand was clear. Prove you deserve to survive. The ship's walls seemed to close in, the silence thick with uncertainty. Mendoza knew the coming battle would test not just weapons and tactics, but the very soul of humanity. The command deck buzzed with tension. General Brox's scarred face was a mask of grim resolve. No hesitation, no mercy. We obliterate the Veil. Their fleet is the cancer threatening all life. Only total annihilation will save us. Mendoza shook her head, her voice calm but firm. Destruction isn't the only answer. A surgical strike, something that sends a message, could show the Council that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. We don't want a war of extinction, we want a future. Brox's eyes burned with the fury of countless losses. Talk of diplomacy with those who would see us crushed? They won't stop until we're ashes. Voices rose on both sides. Some echoed Brox's call for ruthless survival. Others sided with Mendoza's plea for strategic restraint. Each argument carried weight. Survival versus morality, strength versus honor. Time slipped away like sand through their fingers. The crew was torn between the raw instinct to fight with overwhelming force and the hope that a smarter path could save more than just Earth. It could save humanity's soul. As debates grew heated, Mendoza glimpsed the fragility beneath the resolve. This was no longer just a mission, it was a test of what humanity truly valued. The engines roared as Black Star tore through space, a silver streak against the backdrop of dying stars. Mendoza's voice was steady, but her heart hammered. All systems green. Engage interception protocols. The Veil fleet, massive and menacing, was moments from unleashing its devastating assault. Black Star's AI guided the dreadnought with flawless precision, weaving between deadly beams and incoming missiles. Then came the moment of truth. Black Star positioned itself directly between Earth and the Veil's prime weapon, a cataclysmic energy blast that could erase continents. Mendoza's breath caught as the immense weapon pulsed, its glow painting the ship in a hellish light. The AI locked shields and deployed countermeasures with breathtaking speed. For seconds that stretched like lifetimes, space was a battlefield of light and shadow, technology and will. Black Star held firm, a bastion of human ingenuity, standing tall against annihilation.
As the Veil's blast dissipated, Mendoza felt a flicker of hope. Earth's fate was no longer sealed. There was still a chance, born from courage, skill, and a refusal to yield. Black Star floated alone amid a sea of alien vessels, their cold eyes fixed on Earth's last weapon. The Council's fleet was a wall of power, hundreds of ships, each bristling with deadly intent. Inside the command center, Mendoza's crew worked with steely focus, every second a heartbeat closer to war or peace. General Brox stood at her side, silent but watchful. We hold here, or we fall. Mendoza nodded, her voice steady despite the storm of fear inside. This isn't just about survival. It's about proving humanity's place in the stars. The Council's emissaries broadcast their threats, voices dripping with disdain and arrogance. But Black Star's shields held firm, the weapon systems ready but restrained. The silence before the storm was deafening. Every move, every decision could spark a battle that would ripple across the galaxy. For a moment, the vastness of space seemed to hold its breath, watching the fragile line between destruction and hope. Mendoza's fingers danced across the console, opening secure channels to hundreds of alien worlds. The transmission began. Raw data, intercepted communications, proof of the Council's lies and manipulations. The Council fears truth. Their power depends on control and fear. We expose them now. Across the galaxy, screens flickered with the damning evidence. Secret deals, brutal crackdowns, a conspiracy to destroy Earth to maintain dominance. Rebellion sparked like wildfire. Civilizations once loyal to the Council erupted in protest, questioning their rulers for the first time in millennia. Mendoza's gamble was dangerous, but necessary. As the message spread, so did hope. Hope that change was possible. For the first time, the tide of the battle began to turn. Instead of pressing the attack, Mendoza gave a new command: disable the Veil, but hold position. No fatal strikes. The AI executed flawlessly. The Veil's weapon systems powered down, the threat neutralized, but not destroyed. The Council's fleet hesitated, caught off guard by this show of restraint. They expected fury, blind rage, but found calculated power and patience instead. This is a different kind of strength, one that demands respect, not fear. The standoff stretched on, tension, thick but steady. Humanity had shown it could fight, but also that it could choose mercy and diplomacy. For now, the galaxy waited to see what came next. The Council's once unshakable resolve began to crumble.
Their weapon, the Veil, was now powerless, held in check by Black Star's might and Mendoza's unyielding will. Slowly, one by one, the Council's fleet lowered shields, withdrawing from the standoff. The galaxy watched in awe. Earth, once a target of scorn and dismissal, had stood firm and earned its place among the stars.
Mendoza breathed deeply, exhaustion mingling with triumph. They had survived, not through brute force alone, but through strategy, unity, and a refusal to give up. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in generations, hope shone bright. The great chambers of the Galactic Council lay silent no more. Once a symbol of unchallenged power, their unity now cracked wide open like a shattered mirror. Across countless star systems, word of their treachery spread like wildfire. A conspiracy to suppress emerging civilizations, to manipulate and control under the guise of peace. In the dim light of their once majestic hall, council leaders scrambled to hold together their fraying alliances. Alien emissaries whispered in distrust, some openly questioning the narratives long fed to their people. The iron grip of the council loosened, replaced by uncertainty and fear. Systems that had kneeled now rose in defiance, protests blossoming into rebellions that tore at the fabric of galactic order. The intricate web of lies unraveled, leaving chaos where once stood unyielding authority. And at the center of this storm was humanity, once dismissed as weak and insignificant, now the catalyst of a new era. Amid the ruins of old power, the galaxy was forced to confront a harsh truth. The balance of power was no longer fixed. The era of unquestioned dominion had ended, and a fragile, uncertain dawn awaited. Earth had long been a backwater world in galactic eyes, reckless, untested, and chaotic. But all that changed in a single defining moment. The decision to disable the Veil, the mysterious alien superweapon, rather than destroy it, spoke volumes. It was a calculated risk, demonstrating restraint under immense pressure and a deep understanding that brute force alone would not secure lasting peace. The galaxy watched, stunned, as humans chose diplomacy and strategy over annihilation. This act rippled through the stars, forcing even the most skeptical civilizations to reassess their assumptions. Humanity was no longer the wildcard to be ignored or exploited. They had proven themselves capable of immense strength and wise restraint, a combination rare in the cosmos. Old alliances faltered as species reconsidered their stances. Humans were rising from the shadows of contempt into the harsh spotlight of galactic politics. The stage was set for a new player, unpredictable and determined, ready to reshape the future. Mendoza stood alone in the quiet halls of the embassy, the weight of recent victories and losses pressing heavily on her shoulders. Once a lone voice fighting for humanity's place, she was now reinstated, not as a mere envoy, but as Earth's ambassador to the fractured galaxy, a role carrying power unlike any before. Her return was met with cautious optimism. The Council, weakened and fractured, looked to her with a mix of respect and wariness. The delicate threads of alliances and rivalries hung in her hands, and every word she spoke could tip the scales. Mendoza reflected on the sacrifices that paved this path. The friends lost, the brutal conflicts, the moments when hope seemed distant. Yet here she was, the face of humanity's rise, a symbol that Earth had earned its place among the stars. Her resolve hardened. The road ahead was uncertain, but Mendoza knew one thing. Humanity's future would no longer be decided by others. It was hers to shape. The Grand Hall was alive with tension as representatives from the Concord species entered.
creatures once suspicious, even hostile to humanity's ambitions. Their scales shimmered under the soft light, eyes wary but open.
The first steps of diplomacy were cautious. Words were measured, alliances tentative. Yet beneath the surface lay a shared hope, a mutual desire to prevent the chaos that had fractured the Council from consuming the galaxy entirely. Earth's diplomats, led by Mendoza, offered not just treaties, but gestures of trust, technology shared, cultural exchanges planned. The old wounds of suspicion began to heal as conversations shifted from confrontation to collaboration. This fragile dance of diplomacy was not without risks. Old grudges threatened to resurface, and behind calm words lurked hidden agendas. But in that hall, amid careful handshakes and exchanged promises, a new possibility blossomed, a united galaxy, bound not by fear, but by understanding. Vec's arrival on Earth was met with mixed reactions. A fugitive turned symbol. Once hunted and scorned by many, he now stood as Earth's first alien cultural envoy, a living bridge between worlds. His eyes held the stories of fractured alien societies, of betrayals and alliances lost and found. As he walked Earth's cities, the streets filled with curious onlookers, some hopeful, others wary. Vec's mission was clear, yet daunting: to navigate the intricate currents of culture, history, and fear that separated species. His success could mean the difference between lasting peace and renewed conflict. Every meeting was a test. Can Earth accept what it fears? Can alien societies trust a species they once scorned? Vec carried this burden with quiet dignity, a symbol that the future of the galaxy might finally be one where diversity was strength, not a source of fear. Under the silent canopy of stars, Mendoza found herself alone, the galaxy's hopes weighing on her mind. She was no stranger to sacrifice, yet the cost of victory still haunted her, the lives lost, the impossible choices made. She thought of Earth, standing taller now than ever before, yet still fragile in the face of cosmic uncertainty. Humanity had risen, yes, but the path was far from over. Her gaze lifted toward the vast expanse above, each star a reminder of both promise and peril. The galaxy watched, expecting more than just strength. It demanded hope. Mendoza's fingers clenched into a quiet fist. She will not falter. For Earth, for humanity, for all those who dreamed of a future free from tyranny, she would stand firm. The dawn was just beginning, and the story of humanity was far from finished. The sleek diplomatic flagship Forgiveness cut silently through the infinite black, stars stretching into shimmering lines against the vast cosmos. On the bridge, Ambassador Mendoza stands tall, her gaze steady on the swirling galaxies ahead. The hum of the ship's engines pulses beneath her feet, a heartbeat of progress and hope. Her fingers rest lightly on the polished railing, feeling the weight of the moment. This ship is no longer just a war vessel. It is a symbol of humanity's grit, of battles fought and lessons learned. The cold steel beneath her contrasts with the fire within her, a fire forged by sacrifice and tempered by restraint. Mendoza breathes deeply, the silence around her filled with unspoken promises. She thinks of the countless lives lost, the choices that bent the arc of fate. But above all, she feels the pulse of possibility. A new era where strength is measured not by domination, but by wisdom.
Her eyes narrow, scanning the starry expanse. Ahead lies the unknown, a future shaped by courage, diplomacy, and the unwavering spirit of humanity.
Across the galaxy, data streams flood public networks, showing throngs of alien citizens united under a shared banner. From dusty desert moons to luminous ocean worlds, the message is clear and resonant. Power is not control. Power is responsibility. In the bustling marketplaces of the Kalaran system, holographic screens display Earth's leaders, speaking with calm determination. In remote colonies once forgotten by the stars, species long oppressed rise in solidarity, inspired by humanity's example. Alien voices join in peaceful protests and hopeful rallies, their varied languages echoing a newfound belief that power need not crush, but can uplift. Galactic councils fracture further, unable to ignore the rising chorus of change. Old hierarchies tremble as hope spreads like wildfire, quiet, persistent, unstoppable. Mendoza's message ripples outward, binding disparate worlds in a fragile but growing alliance. The galaxy watches, awakening to the promise of a future where unity replaces fear. On the bridge, Mendoza settles into her chair, the stars reflected in her eyes like distant fires. A slow, knowing smile curves her lips, a smirk born of hard-won truth. She recalls the Council's cold, calculated vote, the attempt to erase humanity as if it were nothing more than a flicker in the void. How easily they underestimated a species driven by resilience and fierce conviction. She murmurs, "They thought they could erase us with a vote. Big mistake." The weight of victory is heavy, yet somehow lightened by the knowledge that humanity did not rely on brute force. Instead, they wielded wisdom, restraint, and an unbreakable will. Mendoza's eyes soften with pride, not for herself, but for every soul who dared to hope, to fight, to believe. The galaxy has changed, and as the stars pass by forgiveness, she knows Earth's place is no longer on the fringes, but at the heart of a new cosmic dawn.